morning. It's another beautiful morning in the nation's capital, and I welcome you specially to today's edition of Good Morning Abuja. It promises to be exciting, and of course, you know how it is. We entertain you and bring you conversations that would make you see life in a different perspective. Now, we buy clothes for our children and all of that. We make sure they're comfortable. Do we relate well to them? Do we truly know them? This and more will be coming your way on Good Morning Abuja today. I am Pamela Zamfara, and you know how we always start off with our motivational talk for the day, and it's by Lanre Olushola.
Today, I want to talk very quickly about something so exciting, and it is how to regain your confidence and rebuild your confidence after failure. The very first thing I want to say is, I know how failure can seem. I want to identify with you and identify with your present situation before we both seek to find a solution to it. I know failure can feel so draining. It can feel like all hope is lost. It can feel like all that you have spent the last months and perhaps years pouring all of your life, your soul, your energy, your resources, and even your friendships into might have gone to waste. And I can totally relate. I know sometimes where you try to embark on stuff and you perhaps spend money on stuff, try to embark on some projects, put your life and your energy and your soul into it, and things might not end up coming to fruition. You might feel like there's no way out. You might feel like there's no way back from this. Well, you're right. There might be no way back from it, but only if you permit that thought to stay in your mind, because there really is a way out. And today, I want to walk you through 4 very proven strategies and ways to rebuild your confidence after a series of failure. The very first thing you must do is that you must learn to reframe failure. I like to call it exploiting failure. I believe that the best way out of that bout of lack of confidence, failing, second-guessing yourself is actually to reframe failure and look it in the eye and make it not look like it has the power it thinks it has over you. I like to see failure as data and not identity. I like to see failure as comma and not full stop. The second thing you need to learn and pick from failure as a lesson is this: resilience is built and not born. You know, there's a very beautiful quote I once came across that I kind of agree with. It says that tough time produces great men, and great men produce good times, and good times produce weak men. What this means is that what does not kill you will actually make you. Character is actually formed, and resilience is actually built in the toughest of times. And so resilience is built and not born. No one is born with resilience. No one is born with an unflinching mentality that makes them see life through whatever phase they might find themselves. Instead, resilience grows from exposure to challenge, not an avoidance of it. The more you keep avoiding problems, the more you will never be able to face it when it comes, because problems are inevitable. All right, and that leads me to the third thing I want to say, which is the fact that in the end, it is action that restores confidence. It's one thing for you to take this feedback. It's one thing for you to look fear in the face, reframe failure, reframe fear. It's another thing for you to understand that resilience is built, but it's yet another thing for you to understand that true confidence actually comes by action. You can't think your way out of shame. You can only act your way out of it. And so what you need to learn to do next after a period of failing is not to get into a moment or a long stretch of inaction. Instead, it's for you to find ways to act next. Maybe in this case, not act on the biggest things in the immediate, but begin to find ways for you to amass as many small wins as possible, because nothing rebuilds belief and confidence like small wins. So begin to find ways to go back to the basics, tear the entire thing down. I failed, yes. I've taken some huge steps that have come back to haunt me, yes. But now I'm going to keep going. I will not get into a moment of inaction, because when you bury yourself in inaction, it worsens the case. And that leads me to the final point, which is the fourth one, is that you need to set yourself on a growth mindset path. Set yourself on a growth mindset path. Now, what this means is that build along the way. Build along the way. There are two kinds of mindsets majorly. There's the defeatist mindset, which means that you just always try to see the negatives in everything. You want to tell me why things don't work. But on the other hand, is that you have a growth mindset. A growth mindset is very important. You need to learn in your growth mindset to rebuild in motion. Because you rebuild in motion, you don't rebuild in silence. Enough of always thinking that the next time I try to attempt something, it will not work out. The next time I try to build something, it will not go well. The next time that's the part of pessimism. It's the part that always tries to second guess. The fact that you failed once at something doesn't mean that your optimism should be crushed.
Welcome back from that motivational talk. Thank you so much, Lanre Olushola, for motivating us for today. Now we go on our exercise segment. Please do well to join in on our exercise.
You got this. Easy, shoulder, elbow. I say, can you feel it? Can you feel it? Yeah. Pablo, 7M. Let's go. Let's go. We go like, go back. Hey, let's go.
Welcome back from that exercise segment. Yes, I hope you joined in exercising and moving your bodies. It keeps our body, soul, and mind together in sync. Now let's go on a short break. When we come back, Good Morning Abuja continues. Stay with us.
Welcome you on today's ride on the show Good Morning Abuja.
This is Window on Abuja.
We have everything it takes to compete with any nation all across the world.
How do we make it? You are not ready to produce.
I've been contributing to the development of your kingdom.
Hello and welcome to Young Hearts.
Our focus today will be on hepatitis B. Ladylike!
This is Entertainment Gist.
In the 14th century, 15th, 16th century, and even 17th.
That is for zakah to cure our greed.
The purpose why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to create humanity.
The Bible talks about a man called Apollos. This is NTA Abuja Channel 5.
See you same time.
And have a great and blessed week ahead.
For us to say our goodbyes on the program. As usual, I remain your host the most, Omoide with Erese, and I'll always be here with my bestie.
Je m'appelle Oguntayo Olaniposi Justina.
Speaking French now, from Jordan to Sweden.
Adios.
Welcome back from that break. Yes, it's still Good Morning Abuja, your favorite breakfast show. And you know how they say when a woman nurtures, when a woman breastfeeds, she's nurturing, she's comforting, she's bonding with the child and all of that. Yes, this is true. And talking about breastfeeding is never too much. As a child, we all had that privilege, and so it's only good to talk about it so it becomes an everyday thing, so everybody knows the importance of breastfeeding. Now, to talk about this very beautiful topic, in the studio is Eunice Benu, and she's she's a breastfeeding specialist. She's the founder, Femtech, and then Milky Mamas. What are we going to be talking about? Supporting mothers for successful breastfeeding. Yes, we all need that. Welcome to the studio, my guest, Eunice Benu.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm looking at our topic, supporting mothers for successful breastfeeding, and then Milky Mamas. When I saw Milky Mamas, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
What drew your attention? What made you look in this direction?
Okay, I had just had my last child, my third child, and then after having two children, you believe that you are a professional in breastfeeding. But then I was admitted in the hospital, and then for 3 days on admission, I was not told that it can affect my breast milk. I was not informed that if you don't breastfeed a while, it can reduce your milk supply. So I did not breastfeed my baby for those 3 days. And then by the time I went back home, I had difficulty breastfeeding. My baby refused to latch. It was a struggle for me. And then that brought about researching. I looked for a lactation consultant in Abuja. It was so difficult to get. And then those that I could reach in Lagos were charging so high. So I say, there are so many moms that have these difficulties, these challenges. How can we help them without making them spend so much? So throughout my breastfeeding journey, I faced one challenge. I had nipple trauma, I had engorgement, mastitis, and what was my solution was to research, to Google, to find out. So that brought about my passion for helping new moms to breastfeed easily without stress. So that is why I also founded the Milky Mamas and also an app that will help breastfeeding mothers.
Oh, so you have an app that helps breastfeeding mothers. Okay, tell us about it.
It's a site, first of all, that you register on, and then it has a community for moms. I also created a community on WhatsApp. So since 2021, I have over 200 moms that are together on the WhatsApp community where we teach and explain things about breastfeeding. You can come share your rants as moms, and then this app is a continuation of that. So you join this app, this community website, and then it takes you to an app. On that app, you can take a picture of your positioning and find out if your baby is latching on well. It's also an app that you find out the mental, some moms, I will also say, I also had postpartum depression. So many moms have this, but there's no one to talk to. In fact, I remember telling someone that, "Kai, this is the way I'm feeling," and the person, "You that just gave birth, you should be happy." So that's how our society is too. They don't really place importance on the emotional and mental health of the mom. So with that app, it will ask you certain questions. How do you feel now? What do you intend to do? And with that, it will now gauge your mental health, gauge how you feel, and give you solutions. Either contact the hospital or watch this video, do this, just to make sure you pass through that phase of depression.
Once a woman takes in, everyone is happy, and then, take care of the baby.
Yeah.
You do, is it prenatal? All those counseling.
Yes, postnatal. Yes,
before
prenatal,
you give birth, antenatal.
Yeah.
You do all of that, and once the baby comes out, every attention just shifts to the baby, leaving you and how you feel.
Yeah.
Just there, how you feel. Even when people are bringing gifts, they're bringing gifts for the baby, not the mother.
Yeah.
This tells us that a gap has been created. There's a gap. What do? What can we do as women? What should the society do to, help the mother out?
Yes, I think there needs to be more education, starting from the antenatal. I also did antenatal, and most things they talk about are pregnancy and then the delivery. But not much emphasis is laid on breastfeeding and the challenges that comes with breastfeeding. So many moms go into breastfeeding not knowing what to do. So I think education is the first thing during antenatal, and then after delivery, there should be a system for postnatal check for the moms, not just babies, because usually it's the babies that will go for postnatal. They will check the height, check weight, check all that. Why don't we create a platform where moms also receive that check?
To know if you're okay.
Yes.
It takes a lot.
It takes a lot, not even physically, emotionally check. Check moms to find out if they are okay. I don't think there's any system right now in Nigeria that targets breastfeeding mothers, which I feel it's really a huge gap.
And breastfeeding on its own, it takes a lot from the mother. You are awake almost all night. And then in the daytime, visitors are pouring in and you're like, what's happening?
No rest.
Did you experience this? How did you navigate?
I think most moms cope through it because it's not something that you enjoy. It can be terrible. It can be a terrible experience, especially when you don't have families that support. That is why we need good support systems in Nigeria, both from families, both from and also the government. So families should help the mom raise. There are some mothers that will be breastfeeding and still be working full time, still be taking care of the house, still go. In fact, there are some places that when they know you are pregnant, they won't employ you. Or when they know that you are in that age of breastfeeding, getting pregnant, they don't employ because they don't want someone that will say they want maternity leave. So there's just so much going on for a breastfeeding mom, and that support that is supposed to be given to her is not. I think it boils down to the policies from government. Our organizations should have breastfeeding policies. That means mothers should be allowed to come to work or have a station where they can pump. Let us make our workplace breastfeeding friendly. Let us make the society breastfeeding friendly.
So that no shame is given to the woman. All right, you are the founder, Milky Mamas, and you find out that a lot of women struggle with breast milk production, you know, or low breast milk. Some will say, oh, okay, it's there, but it's low, you know, I can't seem to get it like that. What should they do?
Okay, I think the first thing is to know that the first few days of after delivery, your milk will not come out in full force because your baby's stomach is still tiny. Just a tablespoon is enough for a feed. So you shouldn't expect so much after you give birth. If you can immediately you give birth, it is advisable to make your baby latch because as your baby latches, it sends signals to your brain to produce. Usually they would say, mommy rest, but that first few hours after delivery is vitally important with helping milk production. So immediately after delivery, even if the mommy is not too conscious, especially after a cesarean section, the baby should be put on the mother. The baby should be put on the breast. Let the baby latch. Even if the mother is not fully conscious, let the baby just latch. It helps. Yes, it helps milk production. So after that first few hours, the baby is latched. Even if the milk doesn't come out as soon as possible, that's okay. But after the first day, you should be able to get like a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. That should be enough. I noticed that some mothers immediately introduce formula, which shouldn't be. Your baby's stomach is still tiny. So those few drops are okay. Then frequent breastfeeding helps increase milk supply. If you say, it's not coming out and you stop, that will stop your milk supply. But frequently breastfeed, 2 to 3 hours interval. And then make sure you are hydrated, make sure you eat properly. There are certain foods that you can take that will help increase milk supply.
All right. So this is what you're saying is very important and apt, you know. And when you were saying it, I just kept, having a rethink and thinking of things that happened. Well, we'll pause this conversation now and go on a short break. When we come back, Good Morning Abuja continues. Go nowhere, stay with us on the Unity Station.
I don't know what it is, but she drives me crazy.
Marriage, a beautiful bond, but not without its battles. Behind every smile is a story. Behind every I do is a journey. Mr. and Mrs., the show that peels back the curtain on real relationships. No scripts, no filters, just truth.
I've become a better husband because I've learned a lot from the mistake of the past.
I had feelings, but I wanted to be sure.
Do I have to kneel down to marry a woman?
No, but just do the right.
Join us every week as we sit down with real couples to talk about the raw, the real, and the redemptive side of marriages. From newlyweds to seasoned partners of 40 years plus, no topic is off limits.
Have you ever been in love?
At the end of the year, he came to the village. I saw, this is the brother I saw that time. He said, please, I want to marry you.
This is Modern Entertainment. It's an invitation to grow, to heal, and to love again. Mr. and Mrs. is about real love, real struggles, and real hope. Every couple has a story. What's yours? Join us on NTA Channel 5, the Unity Station, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
'Cause all of me loves all of you.
Welcome back from that break. Yes, it's still Good Morning Abuja, and we've been talking about breastfeeding. I have a guest who is a breastfeeding specialist in the studio. She's still here, Eunice Benu, and we've said a lot about breastfeeding. Before we went on that break, you were explaining and we kept talking about latching, and I'm like, oh, okay, so for someone who is out there, probably a single person who, in a few years' time would become a mother, she might be asking, she's talking about latching. What exactly is that? Can we have a little demo of how a child should be placed properly for the child to, latch well?
Yeah. Okay, so you make sure your child is placed, the head of your child is on your elbow, inner of your elbow, and your hand is this way with your child. Your child should be tummy to tummy. Your child's tummy should be on your tummy. It shouldn't be faced up, but should be faced sideways to your tummy. And then
does it need to touch?
Let's say for the first few weeks, it should touch. But by the time the baby gets older, the baby can stay anyway. But for the first few weeks, the baby's tummy should touch your tummy, and then the baby the face should be directly towards your breast. Your nipples should be towards the nose of your baby, not the lips. Okay. Towards the nose of your baby, because by the time, if your nipples is towards the lips or the mouth, the baby may have will not have a deep latch.
Okay.
So use your nipple to tickle the mouth, the upper lip of your baby. Okay. And then when your baby opens their mouth, you quickly push your baby towards your breast. So that will enable your baby to have a bigger latch and take in most of the areola. We don't call it nipple feeding, we call it breastfeeding. So once you are able to make your baby take in much of the areola, that's that black thing around the nipple, it gives a deep latch. It even helps with milk supply. But once your baby is only able to take the nipple, that is what causes pain. That is what causes blisters on the nipples. And then before you know it, you're having engorgement, having mastitis and all that. So that is how to get a deep latch for breastfeeding.
Thank you so much for that demonstration.
I wish I had a
dog, it would have made it easier. Yeah. Okay, so you and I are here, we're talking about breastfeeding freely. But there are communities where you can't talk about this thing freely the way we are. And because of that, it creates a lack of support. Does this have anything? Does it have a ripple effect on the woman's confidence?
Of course. There are some women that stigmatized when they go out and their baby is crying. And you see them struggling to breastfeed, and you see people passing, making side comment, Madam, close your breast. Madam, why are you doing this? And then you see the way she withdraws because no support is given.
And the child is
crying.
That's frustrating.
So we don't have an option that to carry a carry cloth to cover. The baby is hot and screaming because there is heat and we are struggling to. So I think breastfeeding is a natural thing. It's not something that we should stigmatize against. It's what God created. It's creation. It's a beautiful thing. It's not, the woman is not trying to entice a man. She's trying to do a natural thing. The way animals give their babies suck, breast to suck. That is how women give their babies. So I think we truly need the enlightenment of the society, of religious organizations, that it's natural to breastfeed and women should not be stigmatized against breastfeeding anywhere.
So with this you have said, with the points you've made, how should women be supported? What kind of support? Like, you just gave an example, Madam, close your breast and all of that. How should we further be supported?
I know of someone that works in UK, one of the organizations in UK, and they have a room for breastfeeding in that office. So they are conscious enough to know that there are moms that need to breastfeed in privacy. In fact, they have pumps for moms. So these are little things that we can put in place. You go to a religious organization, you have a small space for breastfeeding moms. I don't know if you've heard of that in Nigeria.
I don't know. I know most of the times if you're, you have to go to the bar.
So I think this is what we need to do, both in our organizations. Please, let us put breastfeeding moms at the back of our minds. Let's not just leave them to themselves. We need to support them in our organizations, in our places of work, and in our religious organizations also.
What are some simple tips that can help breastfeeding mothers? What tips can you give breastfeeding mothers quickly before we go?
Okay, the first thing I will tell you is you are doing a good job. Don't be discouraged. You have a support system. You have people that love you. Don't give up too early. Sometimes because there's no encouragement, they give up early. Don't give up early. There are so many support systems that are available that they can go to. And another thing is learn to speak out. Some breastfeeding moms just bottle everything inside, and this leads to different issues. High BP, sometimes it leads to depression. Please speak out. When you feel you are not happy, there are so many organizations that are supporting breastfeeding moms. Do not keep silent. Speak out. You have a good support system.
Thank you so much, Eunice Benu, for coming and speaking to us about breastfeeding. I personally have learned a lot of things, from this conversation. I now know that there are people that are out there that support breastfeeding mothers. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
All right. It's been a lovely time with my guest, I'm sure you can tell, and she has done justice to this topic about breastfeeding. As a people, let's support mothers. Every person comes from a mother. If your mother wasn't made comfortable in those days, we should make our wives, our sisters, comfortable to breastfeed our young or our next generation. Now we'll go on a short break, and Good Morning Abuja will come back after this time out. Stay with the Unity Station.
Our goodbyes on the program. As usual, I remain your host, the most Omoide with Erese, and I'll always be here with my bestie.
Je m'appelle Oguntayo Olaniposi Justina.
Speaking French now, from Jordan to Sweden.
Adios.
interested in being up to date with the pacey world of sports, our rebranded Capital Sports is the finest bet for your doing so.
So, join us every Thursday live at 3 p.m. on NTA Channel 5 Abuja to talk sports for your viewing pleasure. Remember, you can be a part of this #1 sporting program. Join us on the analysis, views and opinions.
Welcome back from that break. Yes, it's still Good Morning Abuja, and now on to our next conversation. You know how we all love when a child behaves well, and we have scriptures to go with it. We have quotes to go with it. You train up a child, when the child grows, it is what you've taught the child. But do we really take out time to connect emotionally with our children, to really know them beyond their names and who we've made them to become? I have someone in the studio today who will be talking to us about understanding children's emotions and trauma. My guest is a certified child-centered play therapist. You know, I was telling her that I didn't even know we had play therapists in Nigeria. It's good to know. She's also a community development worker, founder and lead coordinator, Clear Aid Foundation. So I know it's going to be a very interesting and deep conversation with my guests. I'm sure you're wondering, okay, she should tell us the guests. Okay, I'm about to do that. My guest is Kangyang Gana. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So we're talking about understanding children's emotions and trauma. You know, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this topic was like, oh, these children, they actually have emotions, so valid emotions, you know. And I know that most of the times when they throw a tantrum, a typical African parent or a Nigerian parent, even me, you know, I'll just be like, be quiet. You know, why do we do that?
Interesting question, and this is what we all grapple with, I can tell you, as parents in this day and time. Why we do that probably is what we ourselves have been trained to do. As a child, it was okay for your parents to shout, to scream, to scold, to beat. I'm not saying that we should tolerate misbehavior of children, you know, but when you lack the tools to discipline your child positively, you will resort to reacting to what they do, you know. So if you really want to reach your child with the purpose of discipline, with the purpose of correction, with the purpose of redeeming the child, then you need to connect. It's not by shouting, it's not by raising your voice. Unfortunately, that's your own default setting. It's what you saw, is what you know. But the beauty of it is we're in an era of unlearning, learning, and relearning with new knowledge, new information. And this new thing is not coming from somewhere else. I believe that God gave man wisdom, and God gave man ability to be able to understand what goes on with us. You see, let's take a typical child. Oh, well, I'm speaking for children because I'm an advocate for children. Yeah, so my examples will be more centered on children. So you take a child. God created that child. God created that child with all the systems in place, the biological systems, the spirit, the soul, the body, and mind. Now you take the body, there's a brain. There's a brain. And there's a way God designed the brain to function. Okay, so if you don't understand all of this, the activities in the brain actually determine how somebody will react to certain things. So without information, without knowledge as parents about how this works, instead of reaching your child with positive discipline, you'll be doing more harm. I will say to people, all the years they have beaten a child that they have tagged stubborn, has the child changed? All the preaching and talking down on the child, has the child changed? Why? Because we don't understand how the system works. If you do, you will turn around it, and then you'll be able to get to the child. And what am I talking about? I think I should use my time and just go straight to the point. When the brain is divided into 3 parts, like the psychologists will say, there's the frontal brain, there's the midbrain, and the stem. Now, the frontal part of your brain is for executive functioning, reasoning. That's where you're able to make sane decisions and all of that. And you know the interesting part? That part of the brain is not fully developed until you're in your late 20s.
So it keeps developing little by
the brain is growing, it's developing. And I believe that's why nations don't even give somebody less than 20 the seat of a president. Because that part of your brain that is responsible for executive functioning, for reasoning, for making sound decision is not fully developed. Okay. So now that part helps you to make decisions. Your brain, now in psychologists, we use the hand for that example. And so this is where you make your decisions, sound decisions. You're able to reason. And then in your midbrain is that part that controls your emotions. It's like it fires. So now when your child misbehaves and you come with your koboko because you want to correct, you want to discipline, the child is already afraid, he's anxious, and that anxiety, this place begins to fire. It fires up and then there's a flip. So you just beat that child, but that child doesn't even understand what's going on. There's no connection.
So what happens at the last part of the brain?
And that controls basically like the breathing, your biological functions, things that you don't control. So, and it also holds the body in place. So now in this part, I'll just focus on these two.
Okay.
Now in this mid part of your brain, when your emotions are high, you're afraid, you're scared, even when you're excited. Sometimes excitement makes you to do things that are dangerous. Your fear makes you do things that are dangerous. Adrenaline, you will jump one very wide gutter you did not know you could jump normally. That's because this part of the brain is active.
Okay.
And so there's a disconnect. You don't have time to make any meaningful decision. So it is important as parents that when your children are in that state of whether too excited or afraid, anxious, that's not the time to begin to speak on things that the front brain is supposed to do, making sound decision. Older parents who understood this by nature before the science of it was revealed to us. Some people will tell you, my parents never beat me as a child. But what my father will do is at night when everywhere is calm, they will call me and talk to me. Now when this place is calm, then the frontal part comes back and then the child is able to understand. So the best time to correct a child, the best time to reach to a child is when their emotions are calm. And so we will undo the process if the brain is disconnected, the frontal part is disconnected, the midbrain amygdala is actually at work, and you, the parent, also you're frustrated. Most times we just transfer aggression.
You know, we just got into this conversation without even understanding you are a child certified play therapist. We didn't understand. We just, it was so interesting and then we just jumped into it. So I think we should go back and do the basics. What does it mean?
So there has been therapy for years, right? And I can't remember the year now, but there's the famous therapist that we look to her work. She developed the core principles of play therapy. That's Axline, Virginia Axline from the US. Now, for years, there is talk therapy, where people will go meet a psychologist and they talk about their problems, and then the psychologist will guide you to get to your solutions or help you get out of whatever you're dealing with. Now for children, developmental stages, how do you help a child who is 4 years say, what is going on? Can you tell me? A child lacks the vocabulary to fully explain what is going on.
In most cases, they don't even know what's going on.
Thank you very much. How do they describe it? They know what's going on. They feel it in their body. But for them to be able to verbalize it. So talk therapy doesn't really work with children so much. Okay? So what do? We give them the opportunity to be able to tell you their story. I live in an area where is prone to crisis. I live in an area where there is a lot of tension. Sadly, in 2021, we had to vacate our village in Jibumiango in Plateau State. And I left my home for like 2-3 years before I came back when there was relative peace. I say relative peace because even the tension still exists. As I talk to you, men are not sleeping at night. They keep watch. Now imagine a child growing up in this community. The child had to run away from home at some point. They heard all the gunshots. They heard the sounds. And they probably lost a brother or a cousin. And nobody actually looked at that child. You know, our community, when we are mourning, sometimes we even take the children away from the community. When there is a death in the family, you take them away from the house rather than leave them to process it as the adults are also processing their grief. And so we neglect.
Most often think they do not
we
know.
see they don't know.
We would have to go on a break, but I'd want to hear the end of this. So I don't know if you could, round it up so we can go on that break. I really want to hear.
So at the end, what we're saying is in play therapy, we give children an opportunity to express what they're going through. Okay, so for example, I could give a child a paper and say, whatever you want to do with this paper is up to you. I've given that child autonomy. Nobody gives that child autonomy. We're used to telling children what to do. We're used to directing children. But in play therapy, we give them the autonomy, the freedom to be who they are, and they sit and design. Sadly, when a community in my area in Bassa, 50-something persons lost their life in one day, one night, we went a week later with psychological first aid in partnership with another organization. And when we got there, we gave crayons, papers, and we told the children, just write what you want to write. And one of the boys that was met in a shock position because he saw his cousins killed, and he wasn't talking. He wrote a lot. He drew a lot. We were speaking English. His English may not have been good. His vocabulary not strong enough to be able to express what he has gone through. But he was able to put it in paper. And why is it important to talk about the things that you have gone through? The bad things that you experience, because as you talk about it, now I say that trauma is like a ball, a mass of confusion, a very dark mass of ball. It keeps you in that state of tension. And so what will happen is when you start to talk about the bad things, you begin to make sense of that tension. And so that whole ball, like a yarn of wool, you now start to losing it, and then you begin to put things in perspective.
Right.
And then
I'm sorry to cut you, but we'll have to go on a break. All right. When we come back, I got carried away and I'm a bit emotional about the whole stories about children and all of that. But when we come back, Good Morning Abuja continues. Stay with us.
Good evening. Glad to have you join us.
Thanks for joining us on Weekly News Wrap.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it is on that note we welcome you to today's edition of the program.
I will celebrate creativity, lasting impressions.
There's no book stating that this is the role for men.
On the news.
On the news at 7.
Unity Station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja.
Would say have a lovely day.
Welcome back from that break. My guest, the play therapist, is still in the studio, and we've said a lot of things. As someone who deals with trauma, especially with the children, you've told us your experience on the field. How can these children be reached out to? As parents, what can we do so that we know when our children are going through trauma and we're able to help them?
So I tell people this because the time here may be short to say so much. But what I tell people is, you see that gadget in your hand. We buy data. We enrich MTN, Airtel, and the rest of them. We buy data. That data is not just for Facebook and Instagram and watching videos. You can actually watch videos that can help you. There's so much information out there. That's one way I think I can help people. Go out there and search, read up. What is trauma? How does a child react to trauma? It helps you as parents to be able to understand your children. For example, you have a child. I was listening to a conversation yesterday, and a parent said she realized that her very active teenager all of a sudden became withdrawn. How did she observe? Because she is watching. If you're not looking out for anything, you will not see anything. So as parents, we are just looking out at our jobs and not looking at our children. We raise all the money and yet there's a disconnect between them. And so you can't tell when your child is actually troubled. So as parents, I encourage us to really give attention to our children. That way you'll be able to sense when there's something amiss. But when you're not really looking out, you will not see it, you will not know it. And they are very smart individuals. I just love children. They can hide it, even in discipline situations. Before now, I was mentioning that sometimes our discipline measures are just for behavior modification. It's more than just behavior modification. If you focus on behavior modification, no wonder there will be one thing at home. And when they get to the university system, when they tell you your child's story, you'll be wondering, where did I get it wrong? Because you focus so much on behavior modification and did not really connect with your child. Discipline takes place at the point of connection. You connect to correct, like we say.
For a child who is traumatized, can there truly be healing for such a child? In very few words.
Yes. So this is the question we say. The reality, look at Nigeria. I started by telling stories, gory stories of bad things that happen in communities in Nigeria. Now, the reality is we are still in need. Solution has not come to take away this permanently. Okay, bring a permanent solution. So when we talk about trauma healing, we're not saying that the person becomes healed. In fact, when you experience a bad thing, the news is you can never be the person before the bad event. Before the bad event, you were something. After that event, you're something. You can never be that person before that event. But what do we hope to achieve with trauma healing? What do we hope to achieve with therapy? We want to give you skills to become resilient. Resilient so that you're able to make better choices. Resilient that you're able to move forward in life. Some people, bad things happen to them. I have a case, and whatever has happened to that young man, he's unable to go back to the university and finish his academics.
That's actually traumatizing. We do not have any time again.
Yes.
This is my emotions have been all around, up and down and all of that. This is very insightful. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Abuja and lending a voice to trauma, to children who are going through a lot of things. And thank you for being that help that they need.
You're welcome.
All right. Wow, it's been interesting with Kangyang Ghana, and we discussed understanding children's emotions and trauma, and the stories she told. Truly, we need peace as a people. So let love lead, let peace lead, and our nation will become greater as we churn out better children. Good Morning Abuja will continue after this time out. Stay with us.
Welcome you on today's ride on the show Good Morning Abuja.
This is Window on Abuja.
We have everything it takes to compete with any nation all across the world.
How do we make it? You are not ready to produce.
I've been contributing to the development of your kingdom.
They know my story.
Hello and welcome to Young Hearts.
Our focus today will be on hepatitis B.
Ladylike.
This is Entertainment Gist.
In the 14th century, 15th, 16th century, and even 17th.
That is for zakah to cure our greed.
The purpose why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to create humanity.
The Bible talks about a man called Apollos.
This is NTA Abuja Channel 5.
See you same time.
And have a great and blessed week ahead.
Welcome back from that break. Now we've been doing a lot of talking. Let's go just, unwind and listen to very lovely music. And when we come back, we continue.
Attention, attention, if you're not spending money, go, 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 go. And if no one more don't shit doggy, misplaced priority, can be broke, can be lazy. I said, nobody go out, go on the high sea. My money be like cocoa money. See now everything I go, 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 bitch better have my money. Go, go, my day. Bitch better have my money. Go, bitch better have my money. Go, my bitch better have my money. Go down, go back. Hey, I don't touch money, I like them. Dollar signs, low down. Kilo come boys, overload come boys. Broker, cash down, no instrumental. We no minus with the hot dog. Olori later, answer. On the high sea, my money be like cocoa money. See now everything I go. Butterfly for my belly, you giving me energy. I don't dey lose my composure, got me losing control. Giving me more than I need. Everything where you carry for body, even if I carry me pepe. No fit to revise you my oreke, my reading my blues, my activity your reading from Monday to Sunday. Say you be my goal, as you and everything I go do for my pepe. My reading my blues, my activity your reading from Monday to Sunday. Say you be my goal, yeah, and everything I go do for my pepe. My jigger, my muse, everything my pepe. My reading my blues, so many things you did do, nobody do me like you do. My jigger, my muse, everything my pepe. My reading my blues, so many things you did do, nobody nothing carry you play, I fit to lose. Carry my love, put it all on you, and I get the money for two. Over my retina when you come through. Now you be my personal person. Forget it, you get I need blessing. Other guys, they don't teach me lesson.
Welcome back from that musical break. Yes, lovely musical songs there. I truly enjoyed it. Hope you danced. All right, what would the weather look like today? I do not know, but we can find out together. With that weather report, we come to the end of today's edition of Good Morning Abuja. I hope you learned a lot. I'd like to say thank you to our guests for coming. Our conversation today centered around children, emotions and trauma for children. And we had Kanyanga Nakom. And then we also had Eunice Benu, who spoke to us about breastfeeding. Thank you so much. Hope you, our esteemed viewer, learned a thing or two. You were entertained and, all of that. Until we come your way again, I remain Pamela Zamfara, wishing you a very beautiful day.